Hey everyone, today we'll be simplifying radicals. So let's begin with a square root. This will be written as the form of 3 times root 2. Now how did I get there? I first split it up 18 into its prime factors. So instead of writing 18, I said it's the same thing as 3 times 3 times 2. Now here, since I have two 3's multiplied by each other, and I'm taking the square root, I'll just be left with 3, right? Because 3 raised to the power of 2, root 2 is the same thing as 3. So I'm just going to bring that outside of the radical sign and multiply it by the rest of what's left in the radical, which is root 2. And since root 2 is not being multiplied by itself at all, I can just write this as my final answer. Now I have a cube root. This time we're taking the third root of 24. So in order to write it in this form, I'm going to repeat what I did before by rewriting 24 with its prime factors. And then I'm going to bring out what's being multiplied by itself 3 times because I'm taking the third root. I brought that outside of the radical sign, and I'm left with what is in there, and that's my final answer. For the fourth root, we have exactly the same. We're going to take what's being multiplied by itself 4 times, bring that outside of the radical sign, and we are left with what we need. Why did we do all that work though? Why couldn't we just leave it as, say, the fourth root of 48? Well, because we'll be left with like terms if we have a root c and then say b root c. This means that we can add them more easily. So if I have 3 root 2 plus 7 root 2, I can just add up my like terms because they have the same variables. If I'm going to subtract them, I do the same thing. 5 times cube root of 3 minus 3 times cube root of 3 is equal to 2 times cube root of 3. And finally, I can multiply them. I can multiply this by itself, and that will give me a very different answer. But for now, I think that it's more helpful for you to know that I can multiply it by any integer number. And this way, you can, for example, rationalize denominators, and you can calculate what will be on the numerator of that expression too. Because if you have a single integer on the numerator of an expression and you have to multiply it by some sort of simplified radical, all you can do is multiply this part of your radical by the other integer, and then you'll be left with your answer. And this works because 2 times fourth root of 2 times 7 can be rearranged as 2 times 7 times the fourth root of 2. And finally, we can divide them. So we can rearrange this as 6 divided by 2 times root 5. And 6 divided by 2 is the same thing as 3. And then we're left with that being multiplied by root 5. And remember, I'm not putting a multiplication sign here, but you can always imagine it. So here we always have a multiplication sign. Okay, that was, I think, all of it about simplifying radicals. Hope it helped. See you in the next video.